GPT 5.6 was the headline, but the new ChatGPT app may be the biggest change right now. OpenAI brought ChatGPT, Codex, and its browser experience together inside of one unified app. You can now choose between work mode and Codex mode, depending on what you're trying to get done. Work mode is the general assistant side. It can work with your files, browsers, and connected tools inside of the same conversation. Codex mode is built around software development. That includes repositories, branches, terminal access, and code review. According to the new stack, the goal is to replace 3 separate OpenAI products with one main working environment. That is the feature I think most people will notice first. So instead of deciding which OpenAI app to open, you choose the mode that matches the job. Need to research a topic, open a file, and draft a response? That belongs in work mode. Need to inspect a repository, review changes, and work inside of a terminal? That belongs in Codex mode. OpenAI also released GPT-Live during the same week. This is the new real-time voice experience. The interesting part is not simply that ChatGPT can speak. It is whether those conversations feel responsive enough to become part of a real workflow. You could use it to brainstorm while walking, practice a difficult conversation, or run a tabletop game. The test is simple. Interrupt it, change one instruction, and see whether it keeps track of the conversation. Those are the new features you will actually experience. So now we can talk about the model powering more of this, GPT 5.6. GPT 5.6 is OpenAI's new flagship model family. The strongest result is not a dramatic benchmark victory. It is the change in cost and speed. Artificial analysis reported that GPT 5.6 Soul Pro completed an equivalent benchmark generation in about 1 minute for 77 cents, whereas GPT 5.5 Pro reportedly took around 6 minutes and cost $4 for the same type of generation. That is a massive efficiency difference. You're looking at roughly 1/6 of the time and less than 1/5 of the cost in that example. For builders running agents or repeated automated tasks, that can become more important than a small benchmark gain. A model does not need to become twice as intelligent to change your economics. It just needs to produce acceptable work much faster and much cheaper. The new family includes Soul, Soul Pro, Terra, and Terra Pro. The names are confusing, and I would not choose a tier based on the branding alone. Soul Pro currently has the clearest public cost and speed result. The other tiers need to be tested against the task before you actually plan to run it. On GDP Val, the Soul tier reportedly sits just behind Claude Fable. GPT 5.6 also performs strongly on browser-based computer use. That makes it especially interesting for agents that need to navigate websites and complete tasks. But I would describe this as an efficiency release before calling it a massive intelligence leap. The receipts for cost and latency are much clearer. OpenAI was not the only company shipping this week. xAI also announced Grok 4.5, and that puts another model into the same premium category as GPT 5.6 and Claude Fable. I have not seen enough evidence to say builders should move their workflows to Grok 4.5 yet. The sensible comparison is to give both models the same difficult task, then compare the output, quality, time taken, and how much correction work remains. Anthropic also widened access to Claude Fable 5 and reset Claude Dev's rate limits. That is important because Fable remains one of the strongest competitors of GPT 5.6. So the comparison is no longer simply OpenAI versus older Claude models. More builders can now test the newer models from both companies directly. Anthropic also expanded its wider work platform with Cowork Web and mobile. That points towards the same larger trend as OpenAI's new app. The model is becoming one part of a complete working environment. The image model competition also kept moving. ByteDance released Seedream 5.0 Pro, Meta released Muse Spark 1.1 and Muse Image. Google also added Video Remix to Google Photos. So I would not change the image tools because of a launch demo. Again, use the same prompt across your current models and the new ones. Then compare prompt accuracy, consistency, and how many results you would actually keep. That leads to the main takeaway from this entire week. GPT 5.6 looks strongest as an efficiency upgrade. The unified ChatGPT app could become the more important workflow change. One improves the economics of the task, the other tries to remove the handoffs around the task. So do not switch because one model reached the top of a leaderboard. Test one real workflow and measure 3 things. Measure the cost per usable result, measure how long the task takes, then measure how much correction work is still required. Switch when the new model option clearly improves at least 2 of those 3. Remember, cheap output becomes expensive when you have to repair all of it. Fast output is not useful when it's consistently wrong. But if GPT 5.6 can preserve quality while cutting both time and cost, that is a real reason to move. And if the unified app genuinely replaces several tools, that may be the larger story. Subscribe for a weekly AI roundup without having to chase every launch separately. I'll see you in the next one.